Coming up on Sportsource, how this UGA baseball player got to see both sides of the Foley Field renovation.
And how former UGA head baseball coach David Perno became Clark Central's head football coach.
Plus, how the lone senior on Athens Christian's basketball team etched her name into the history books. Sportsource starts now.
Welcome to Sportsource. I'm Brett Stevens. Longtime fans of the UGA baseball team will remember the impact of David Perno as the man who led the Diamond Dogs to 5 NCAA tournament appearances, including 3 appearances in the College World Series. The 2-time SEC Coach of the Year has now transitioned his coaching ability from the ball field to the gridiron. Joining me now is Sportsource reporter Lily Brody, who was able to talk with Perno about this new journey into coaching high school football.
That's right, Brett. Perno is widely known for his impact on the University of Georgia baseball team as both a player and coach. Now, Perno coaches the football team at his alma mater, Clark Central High School. While talking to him, I learned that Perno's story goes beyond wins and losses and is an illustration of loyalty, perseverance, and strength. A high school football state champion and later part of the University of Georgia's sole national baseball title team, David Perno was driven by pure victory. This pursuit continued into his role as Georgia's head baseball coach, where he led the Bulldogs to 5 NCAA tournaments, 3 College World Series appearances, and secured 2 SEC titles. However, Perno's outlook on coaching shifted dramatically after enduring personal tragedies. In 2010, a devastating scooter accident left one of his players paralyzed.
The kid gets hit on the scooter, and I'm the first phone call. That cuts to you. I mean, that's like, oh man. And I remember it was late and told me to go to St. Mary's emergency room. I'll never forget that night.
This tragedy was compounded a year later when another player suffered the same fate after a collision during a game. Amidst these adversities, Perno's mother also lost her battle with cancer. And following a difficult 2013 season, Perno's coaching career at Georgia ended with a phone call.
You know, I've spent 19 years. 20-something years, considering my time as a player. I gave everything I had to that university as a player and a coach, and I got 5 minutes.
However, Perno knew that he had to keep coaching and embarked on a new chapter, returning to his alma mater, Clark Central High School. Trading the baseball diamond for the Friday night lights of football, he faced initial challenges adapting to coaching a different sport. But Perno remained true to his core belief. Coaching is coaching. He found joy in strategizing and execution. But his deepest satisfaction now comes from investing in his athletes and witnessing his players grow into well-rounded young men.
Perno pushed me every day to be better. He always remind me there's going to be people that try to break you down. You just can't let them.
While past glories like College World Series appearances remain etched in his legacy, Perno's current ambition lies in bringing a state championship title to Clark Central.
That's what I came here to do, and I know that it might not happen, and that's okay. I do have a little bit of hope that maybe one day I will get a shot at college baseball again.
Reporting for the Carmichael Sports Media Institute, I'm Lily Brody. Although Perno's journey has not been an easy one, he continues to face every new role with positivity and determination. This fall, Perno will enter his 9th season as the Clark Central's head coach, and he remains optimistic about the coming season with the Gladiators. Back to you, Brett.
Thanks, Lily. It sounds like the Gladiators can rest assured with Coach Perno leading the charge. Joining me now are Sportsource analysts Kayla Lopez and Emily Wisnowski to discuss our upcoming game of the week.
The Dogs are on a roll with a 9-game win streak at stake.
After Virginia Tech's postseason loss to the Dogs, the Hokies are seeking redemption. The details when Sportsource returns after the break.
Welcome back to Sportsource. Joining me now are Kayla Lopez and Emily Wisnowski to settle the hottest debate. What's our must-watch matchup this week?
Thanks, Brett. The Georgia softball program is building momentum, riding a 9-game win streak and setting their sights on making history. Aiming to shatter last season's 11-game record, the Bulldogs are a force to be reckoned with, earning them Sportsource's prestigious Pivotal game of the week designation. Can Georgia break the record and solidify their dominance?
Sparks are set to fly high at Turner Softball Stadium tonight as number 4 Georgia takes on number 17 Virginia Tech. But before the first pitch, let's rewind and explore the journeys that brought these two powerhouses to Athens. Fueled by a stellar 42-15 season and a thrilling run to the Super Regionals, the Georgia Bulldogs are destined for another strong showing in 2024. Their impressive 16-7 SEC record and memorable Tallahassee showdown with Florida State left a mark on the softball world. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech, fresh off of a commendable 37-18 season and a bid to the Athens Regional, will be seeking revenge for their postseason encounter with the Bulldogs. Their 14-10 ACC performance showcased their talent, and they'll be hungry to turn the tables this time around. This matchup promises to be an exciting rematch, with both teams aiming to make their mark on the 2024 season.
Let's dissect the strengths and weaknesses of both teams to see how they stack up in this anticipated showdown. The Bulldogs pack a serious offensive punch, evident in their 18 home runs compared to previous opponents' mere 4. Leading the charge is the unstoppable Sydney Kuma, boasting a scorching .680 batting average and expected to make a significant impact later today. Her accolades speak for themselves. Preseason All-SEC Softball America's Top 100 players and impressive stats like 3 RBIs, 3 home runs, and a 1.12 slugging percentage. Alongside Kuma, Jaden Fields and Shelby Walters bolster the lineup, making Georgia a force to be reckoned with at the plate. However, one weakness lurks for the Bulldogs: RBIs. Despite their offensive skill set, their total of 66 RBIs pales in comparison to Virginia Tech's 76. Can they overcome this potential shortcoming against such a strong defense?
Now let's shift our focus to Virginia Tech and see how they plan to counter Georgia's offensive onslaught.
While Georgia boasts offensive firepower, Virginia Tech isn't lacking in power hitters of their own. The Hokies actually surpassed the Bulldogs in home runs with 18, led by Rachel Castine's impressive 5 dingers. Michelle Chatfield and Addie Green add fire to the lineup with 4 and 2 home runs respectively. Furthermore, their ability to get on base consistently is undeniable. Ranking 10th overall in on-base percentage, this potent offense poses a significant threat to Georgia's pitching staff. However, just like Georgia has its areas of concern, Virginia Tech has a potential Achilles heel in the pitching circle. Emma Lemley, a key hurler for the Hokies, has already issued 7 walks this season. If the Hokies want to pull off an upset against the streaking Bulldogs, their pitching needs to be sharp and minimize walks to limit scoring opportunities.
With all that being said, who do we think is going to take the win? And what do you guys predict is the final score?
I got the Dogs taking this one, Brett. They are on a streak I don't see being broken during this matchup. My final score prediction, 11-3.
I'm right there with you, Emily. I see Georgia slipping another win under their belt. My final score prediction, 10-4. Only way the Dogs mess this one up is if they don't show up at all.
We'll see how this all shakes out later today. Thanks, Emily and Kayla. After the break, we'll hear how a UGA baseball player got a sneak peek of the Foley Field renovations before his final season with the Dogs. And later, we'll get an inside look at an impressive statistic from one senior star at Athens Christian. Stay tuned after the break. Welcome back to Sports Source. The first of a 2-phase project to renovate Foley Field wrapped up right before opening weekend. But one baseball player got an even more behind-the-scenes look. Joining me now with the details is Sportsource reporter Mackenzie Wolford.
That's right, Brett. Graduate outfielder Josh Stinson interned this past summer with Turner Construction before he knew they were the masterminds behind the baseball stadium's facelift. I spoke with Josh about the start of the season and his experience behind the scenes. So you were obviously here with Coach Strickland's staff, and now you're with Coach Johnson. What has that transition been like for you?
It's been amazing, honestly. Coach Johnson is just a great coach. He kind of gave us a new drive, new energy, new belief. And like this team, we're gonna do really special things this year just because like we believe in ourselves and our ability.
As far as on-the-field performance, what can we expect to be different with under Coach Johnson?
I guess you'll see players just playing more loosely, not as uptight and scared to make mistakes. Coach Johnson wants people to make mistakes, so kind of having that leadership kind of makes it a relaxed environment, and you're not scared to make mistakes, and you're willing to do other stuff and not being scared to fail.
Of course, and I heard you had a pretty cool internship over this past summer. What company was that with?
I was with Turner Construction. It's a huge general contracting firm.
And then did you hear about that through the team or on your own?
So I actually heard about it on my own. I went to a career fair and they happened to know somebody that I knew. And those connections were made and they offered me another interview to get an internship. And I ended up getting the internship and I looked at the projects they were having and Foley Field happened to be on there and I was like, wow, this is a miracle.
So it was a total coincidence that you happened to be on the team and they were doing the renovations
Yeah,
to
it was
Foley.
a total coincidence, but once I figured out they had the project, I did email and be like, can I be on this project? Because it really makes sense for me to be on it because I'm a baseball player and I know the field better than anybody else.
So did you get a little sneak peek at what it was going to look like before the rest of the guys?
Yeah, I know what the new finished project is because there's phase 2 coming this summer and I already know what that's going to look like and it's pretty cool because I could show all the guys and they were pretty stoked about it.
They were pretty excited about it. What was it like seeing it in person for the first time with the whole big reveal?
It was amazing because I saw what it looked like before and I saw what it looked like during. And it's just a slow process, but it kept chugging along every day and the finished project was just crazy because I know the hours that went into it.
Say, what part did you get to play in that with your internship?
So I just did mostly like the coordination and like supervising and making sure people did things on time and the quality of work was good, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Okay, so we just finished with opening weekend and now we have another game tomorrow and this weekend, so what can we expect?
You can just expect us to go out, have some fun. That's like our mantra, just to have fun, do our thing, and believe in ourselves. So you're gonna see us celebrating like we've never celebrated before.
The final renovations to Foley Field will get started this summer and be ready for the fans at the start of the 2025 season. But until then, Josh Stinson and the rest of the Diamond Dogs will play with a new locker room, team meeting room, and LED lights that were added in Phase 1. You can see the Dogs today, Saturday, and Sunday for the second home series of the season against Northern Kentucky. Back to you, Brett.
Thanks, Mackenzie. We'll see if Josh and the rest of the squad can stay undefeated under the new lights. Joining me now, Sportsource analyst Christian Kirby and Nick Pierce discuss how several UJ football players can increase their draft stock at the Combine next weekend.
That's right, Brett. Next weekend is a big opportunity for several former Bulldogs to catch the eye of NFL scouts.
See which players we think will make the biggest splash after the break.
Welcome back to Sportsource. With the final whistle blown on the NFL season, the focus shifts to building for the future. And what better way to scout young talent than the NFL Combine? From February 29th to March 3rd, over 300 aspiring rookies, including 11 from the University of Georgia, will showcase their skills under the watchful eyes of NFL teams. Joining us now to discuss which of those 11 Bulldogs have the most to gain from this year's event are Sportsource analysts Christian Kirby and Nick Pierce. Guys, what can you tell me about the upcoming Combine?
Brett, the NFL Combine isn't just a showcase of athletic ability. It's a multi-million-dollar audition. A dominant performance or a single misstep can be the difference between securing a lucrative spot in the first round or landing further down the draft, potentially costing an athlete millions of dollars. The pressure is on, and every split second will count.
And Christian, we've seen a handful of former Bulldogs take advantage of this showcase in the past. Just last year, Bulldogs linebacker Nolan Smith's incredible performance propelled him into a first-round selection, while linebacker Trayvon Walker was selected the #1 overall pick in 2022 thanks to his impressive showing. And with 11 former Georgia players participating in this year's Combine, it's incredibly likely we see another Bulldog skyrocket up teams' draft boards.
So of the 11 players who will be waiting to have their name called on draft night, which Bulldogs do you guys think can increase their draft stock the most at this year's event?
Brett, I believe that Georgia wide receiver Ladd McConkey isn't just a name to watch in the Combine. He's a potential first-round surprise. McConkey was absolutely electric during his time with the Bulldogs and was a major contributor to the team's offense during their 2021 and 2022 national championships. His speed and precise route running made him a massive downfield threat for the Bulldogs during his career at Georgia, a set of skills that will translate to the NFL extremely well. Originally, Ladd McConkey was tabbed as a late second to early third-round pick, but after his excellent showing in the Reese's Senior Bowl, there's been a ton of buzz around the receiver's name. A strong showing in the NFL Combine could be just enough to help him sneak into the first round and earn a massive payday.
Another player who could increase their draft stock at the NFL Combine is cornerback Kamari Lassiter. Lassiter was an absolutely dominant pass defender for the Bulldogs during the 2022 and 2023 seasons, and was equally as impressive in stopping the run. During the 2023 season alone, Lassiter accounted for more than 35 tackles for the Bulldogs defense. And don't let his lack of interceptions fool you. His passing defense stats are lower than others because, frankly, teams were too scared to throw at him. Lassiter has already been tabbed by some experts as a possible first-round pick, but a good performance in the Combine could solidify his spot as a first-round pick.
So guys, we know which players could gain a ton from this event, but how do they go about doing it? And what exactly constitutes a strong performance at the NFL Combine?
Well, Brett, different positions require different traits in football, but there are a handful of skills that translate to every position. One of those traits is footwork, and Lassiter has excellent footwork. Rarely, if ever, does he find himself flat-footed or trailing a receiver on a route. His footwork and excellent fundamentals will be on full display throughout the Combine, and he will absolutely excel at the cornerback drills portion of the Combine, where quick reactions and precise movements are paramount.
And Brett, the added speed kill seems to be tailor-made for Ladd McConkey. Time and time again, we've seen him blaze past a defender on his way to the end zone. I predict that McConkey will use that speed to his advantage during the 40-yard dash. Don't be surprised if the receiver finishes the sprint in under 4.4 seconds. On top of this, McConkey's performance in other drills, such as the broad jump and the vertical jump, will likely turn heads of numerous NFL scouts.
With the Combine showcasing the athletic prowess of top prospects, we naturally wonder how it might impact the draft positions. Specifically, could Lassiter and McConkey's expected dominance in certain drills significantly alter their draft placement?
Brett, in the age of football where the league is loaded with highly talented receivers, it is imperative that teams find equally talented cornerbacks to cover those receivers. As a result, the cornerback position holds a very significant value in the eyes of many NFL teams. Kamari Lassiter is one of the most talented corners in this draft class and is already on a lot of teams' radars. Lassiter was a lockdown corner in college, and with a strong performance in the NFL Combine, I predict he locks down a first-round pick in this year's NFL Draft.
And Brett, the Bulldogs have not produced a first-round pick at the wide receiver position since A.J. Green in 2011. But in the new era of pass-heavy offenses, the receiver position has become more valuable than ever, and Ladd McConkey is the perfect player to take advantage of this new trend. McConkey's ability to stretch defenses vertically with his speed and route running will be what earns him a first-round selection. I predict that if Ladd McConkey runs a sub-4.4 time in the 40-yard dash, he'll sprint his way into the first round of the NFL Draft and break the Dogs' 13-year drought of wide receivers taken in the first round.
It's hard for NFL teams not to like these stellar athletes, and your insight has proven that fact. Thanks, guys. Coming up on Sportsource, we'll spotlight a record-breaking high school basketball player in Athens. And later, we hear your thoughts about the state of Georgia legalizing sports betting. Don't go away. Welcome back to Sportsource. Our next story features an athletic feat most high schoolers cannot claim. Athens Christian girls basketball star Natalie Goff just achieved a massive accomplishment in her career, reaching 1,000 points on the court. Joining me now is Sportsource reporter Abby Halpin. Abby, could you give us some more insight on the road Natalie has taken to reach this milestone?
Absolutely, Brett. Natalie Goff hasn't been at Athens Christian for long, but in the short time she's been there, she's already left a mark. Since 1970, the Athens Christian women's basketball team has witnessed only 4 players rise to the legendary status of scoring 1,000 career points. This year, a new name etched itself onto that list, Natalie Goff. And Goff's achievement wasn't just a milestone, but a culmination of a dream she nurtured from the very beginning of her high school journey.
When we celebrated it, I was excited because in 2 years I hit it, and that was one of my goals before I graduated.
Goff transferred to Athens Christian just 2 years ago with now head coach Jeff Vaughn, and both had the same goals for the team.
He and his daughter and Ansley said they were going to move out here, and I was looking to move somewhere, so it was my prayers answered.
Coach Vaughn has known Goff since middle school, where he became her personal coach.
So I've known Natalie since she was 10, 11 years old. I was training her at first and working with her and in a one-on-one setting.
In a team bursting with young talent, with 7 out of 8 players being underclassmen, Goff emerged as a natural leader, but she can't do it alone.
It's definitely an easy role to step into because we all respect each other, and we're all we're all open to hear what everyone has to say.
And Coach Vaughn has seen how Natalie can grow and inspire her teammates.
She leads off the court in practice. She can tell the other girls what to do when they're not doing things like they should, or if somebody's messing up on a play or things like that. She leads in that way.
And as Goff heads out, she hopes to leave a lasting impression and one simple lesson left to learn for her teammates.
You can do anything when you put your mind to it. I think we've all learned that here.
For the Carmichael Sports Media Institute, I'm Abby Halpin.
And Goff recently announced her college commitment to Emmanuel University, where she'll be taking these talents on and off the court. Back to you, Brett.
Coming up on Sportsource, your thoughts on Georgia moving toward legalizing sports betting. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sportsource. Since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federal law that bans sports betting in most states, gambling on sports has been ratified in 38 states. Joining me now is Sportsource reporter Joe Kopshow, who has more on how recently the state government has made headway towards allowing residents to place wagers, whether it's six-leg parlays or even straight bets.
That's right, Brett. I know you've been sprinkling money on those legal player props, but the Georgia State Senate recently approved a sports betting bill 35-15. The Georgia House of Representatives still needs to approve the measure, and if they do, then Georgians will have the final say on the November ballot. I went to the 8th wonder of the world, Sanford Stadium, and talked to people about their opinions on Georgia rapidly moving towards legalizing sports gambling. Can you give me your opinion on Georgia moving to legalize sports betting?
Might as well. I mean, more people are going to do it anyway, so might as well let the state capitalize on some tax money.
I don't really have any protests against it per se, because I feel like people can do what they want with their money per se.
I'm in favor.
And why is that?
Because I feel like there's a lot of betting kind of behind the scenes anyway. So I think making it legalized is okay, but I do think there needs to be parameters and consideration around problem gambling and those kind of things as well.
What are your opinions on Georgia moving towards legalizing sports betting?
I am actually okay with it because I've done it before. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
I personally morally don't agree with sports betting, but I also don't agree with betting in general. But I mean, other people may want to.
I just don't have too strong opinions on it. It does seem like there's a lot of regulations in place to try to, put up the numbers for gambling addiction hotlines and things like that, which I think is a good measure.
Can I get your opinion on what you think of Georgia moving to legalize sports betting?
I think it's a good thing to do. I think it's a lot of people have fun with it, but I think there needs to be programs to make sure that people don't get too deep into it, because a lot of people have problems with addiction, and I could see people falling down that pitfall.
I think sports betting is great. It engages the fans, get to watch sports more often, place money, but you have to do it responsibly, which is the most important thing. It can be great, but if you take it to an advantage, it may not be the best.
I'm for sports betting. It seems fun. It seems like a fun thing people do. They're going to do it whether it's legal or not. So I think that it's a good move.
I think it's a good idea because I feel like a lot of people do it illegally already. So I don't think it's really stopping anything having it illegal. So I mean, legalizing it, I don't know. I think it's a fine idea. I think it's good.
At the end of the day, there were a wide variety of opinions on legalized sports betting in the state of Georgia. While the House always wins, it is up to the Georgia House of Representatives to see if the topic heads to the November ballot. Back to you, Brett.
Thanks, Joe. That concludes this week's edition of Sportsource. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and be on the lookout for our show next week. From everyone here at Sportsource, I'm Brett Stevens. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.